However, what we must understand is we should have a little more respect for John Wayne. After all, if it wasn't for John Wayne, we would have lost the Vietnam War even in the movies. And Mr. Binder asked if there are any Catholics in this place. There are some Catholics. They're very good. They are necessary in order for us to keep the lineage going so that there will be more Catholics. There'd be only one way that you can get a nun pregnant. The only way you can get a nun pregnant is by fucking her. And Mother Teresa was so fucking ugly that she joined the ministry in order to get sex from the priests who would ordinarily screw only little boys. However, I am here primarily to elucidate and to clarify issues that make it necessary for us to behave in a manner which would be beholden to those who unfortunately find themselves not only reconciled with the agreements that were made, but also to provide the necessary equipment to... What was the question? What was the question? Nevertheless, if it was Henry Miller who said, in fact, Mort Saul, a man who I used to admire from a distance for the simple fact that to be relevantly near the unconscious submittal is only to allow us to alleviate the existence. Where the fuck are you going? But anyway, I forgot what we were talking about, but it's not necessary to know. But Henry Miller said, if shit had any value, poor people will be born without assholes. The rich people have a lot of shit coming out. They got assholes all over themselves. But what the hell? There's only one way that we can clarify the issues that make it necessary for us to comprehend rather than to delineate and to accept the evidence which will not be able to support the allegations. And that's the truth. We had no American Revolution. We had no Constitution. It was never ratified. And we have no Declaration of... I wrote away to the Freedom of Information. I asked him to give me a copy of the Declaration of what he called the Declaration of Independence. And this is what they sent me. I want to say, I have a philosophy which is simple. And my philosophy is, it is better to receive than to give. A lot of people say it's better to give. You want to give? Give. You give so much, but you never get tired of receiving. Therefore I say, don't earn more than you can spend, but spend more than you earn, and die in debt. Now, if you owe a lot of money, you're going to live long. I mean, the people you owe it to are going to make sure you live long. But if you die at, say, 75, and you owe $300,000, to amortize that loan at $30,000 a year with accrued interest would take you 18 years to pay it off. So you actually live to be 93. Because you're living on money you would have made if you lived that long. So my suggestion, if you want to reach this affluent plateau, my suggestion is borrow. Borrow. Start with your friends. Borrow from your friends. And when they ain't got any more money, make new friends. but keep borrowing. That's what our forefathers did. Our forefathers borrowed. They borrowed, and they never paid it back. Our fathers borrowed. They didn't pay it back. We borrowed. We ain't gonna pay it back. It was our forefathers that gave us this big debt. If we had two fathers instead of four fathers, we'd have half the goddamn debt. That's why I say, to regale ourselves to the instrumentality which will make it necessary to depose those who bewitched us, and to categorize that and make it more explicit, we can appreciate the difference between what is shit and what is not shit. And I never said that Dave Brenner was a piece of shit. I said he was a lump of shit. A lump is a big dump of shit, not a piece of shit. If there was no word shit in the English language, I would have no act. But I don't care. I want you to know that my possibilities are no longer in existence. They are now dwelling in the existentialism, into the radical particulars, into the Formite ratings, which makes Formica. Formica? What the fuck is Formica going to do with this? That's what the trouble is. We bring necessary, unimportant things into view and try to categorize it in a sense that it can be explainable. No shit. It cannot be explained. The world is only 10 billion years old, and Jesus wasn't here 1,000,000 days ago. Shit. What the hell is that? And we find that religion is the opiate of the people, said Karl Marx. And when the soothsayer came unto Caesar, and saith unto Caesar, beware of the Ides of March, what he really meant was, beware of the ideology of Marx. This is the concrete manner. I would like to be here and live another 79, I don't know, 97 years. Many people who have alexia think I'm only 79. They're out of their fucking mind, if they had minds. But I want to say, the land in which we live, and we say, and this was before Pete Seeger, I said, America, America, have you no pride or shame? Your black and white will soon unite to clarify your name. I said this before Pete Seeger even came on the thing there. Wants you to be singing, and he's getting paid and you don't. What the fuck is that? Not that I don't like Pete Seeger. I love him in a certain sense. But I do not admire his philosophy, because he was for the Vietnam War, and so was Bill Maher for the Vietnam War. Said because we stopped. You know, if the House Un-American Activities Committee ever called me to testify, they would say to me, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? My reply to that would be, sir, do you mind repeating the question? And they would repeat the question. And then I would say, sir, can you rephrase that question? The point is this, that the Communist Party, of which barred me from becoming a member, they said I was an anarchist. Well, all true communists are anarchists, and they wouldn't let me in the party. Well, I don't care. I really don't care. The Communist Party, I think, was dissolved by agent provocateurs, the United States government sent in people to become leaders of the Communist Party and to destroy it. And that's what happens in Libya. The United States government sent in agent provocateurs because Libya and Iraq were the two countries in Africa that had the highest standard of living and the highest educational system. We in the United States have got shit. Johnson, one of the worst presidents that we ever had, got into office by a slogan. His slogan was, "Vote for Johnson and hump free." Well, we don't know whether that was a promise or whether he was mistaken. Well, anyway, the point is this, that Social Security has now become revenue, not for the particular reason that the issue was developed. Social Security is not fucking revenue. It's money specifically for a specific cause. And I suggest that we all get together and surround ourselves with the melancholy love of the lost foundation of the great era that once was and now is not. We want to know if there could be that, then we can always live beside ourselves in a relationship that does exist. And I want to tell you something. There are very few things that I don't know. And what I don't know, I make up. But I want you to know that my son Richard is here, and he's going to entertain you with some of the most brilliant songs that he's devised and has copied from various other great artists. Ladies and gentlemen, my son, Richard Corey.